It's 6:31.
For live and local talk, listen to the Open Mic Show, Monday nights. You can also see the program at www.whav.tv. Only local radio can bring you this talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Open Mic!
Every Monday night, the Open Mic Show brings interesting guests into your homes, presents your take on current events, and dabbles in little-known local history. I'm Tim Coco, your host, inviting you to join the chorus of community voices beginning at 6:30 Monday nights right here on WHAV. You may also watch this 50-year staple of democracy live at WHAV.tv and Haverhill Community Television, Channel 22. The Open Mic Show was brought to you by Northern Essex Community College, the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council, and WHAV members. Remember, only local radio can bring you this talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather!
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with Wave Weather. Any rain ending as some wet snow during tonight with maybe a coating, and then watch out for icy spots as it clears out by morning and the temperatures fall back into the teens by then. It's mostly sunny, breezy, very cold tomorrow, only around 20, and in the single numbers at night with clear skies, sun with a few clouds on Wednesday, we're up in the 20s. This is Gary Best. Your next Wave Weather is coming up in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
For the people of Haverhill and the people in our surrounding towns. What concerns you directly, your lives and businesses, your community betterment, will always get first priority on the WHAV airwaves.
That was Jack Russ, March 16th, 1947, announcing the birth of WHAV AM. And tonight, we can say with some confidence that a new WHAV on the FM band will be with us soon. On Friday afternoon, the Federal Communications Commission issued WHAV's parent company, Public Media of New England, a construction permit to build a new FM radio station at 97.9 on your dial. We'll talk a little bit more about that and how the frequency ended up changing in just a minute, but let me tell you how you can listen to us now, this very minute. I do not see our video on Haverhill Community Television Channel 22. Our audio may be present. Perhaps our fill-in producer, Mark LeMay, will check with HCTV. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're worried that our stream has commercials in it, as it did last week and should not have. But we're confirming that the commercials are gone. We do pay quite a bit each month to a video provider not to provide them. I see our video is now on Channel 22, and that is one of the ways you can participate in the Open Mic Show. You can watch on Haverhill Community Television, HC Media Channel 22. You can also watch at WHAV TV on your computer or smartphone. And of course, WHAV is far more than the Open Mic Show. You can listen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at WHAV.net. on AM radio, 1640, and cable television, usually the sound behind the bulletin boards, on Andover Channel 8, Haverhill, Channel 22, Methuen, Channels 8 and 22 on Comcast, Channel 32 on Verizon Fios. Across the border, Plastow, New Hampshire, Channel 17 and 23, Sandown, New Hampshire, Channel 17. You can interact with this program very simply. It's a call-in show, after all, the open mic show, so call 978-374-1900. 978-374-1900. For television viewers, it is almost always on the screen at the bottom. If you're shy, you may write on our message board below the screen at whav.tv. There are some old comments on there. We'll try to remove those shortly. But you can also email me directly at tcoco, T-C-O-C-O, at WHAV.net. Now, in order to win a prize, however, there is this a little bit of work you have to do, and you have to actually call. You cannot win prizes by writing. You have to actually call. So let's look at those prizes. We're now taking February birthdays. All you have to do is wish someone a happy birthday or a happy anniversary, and their name will be entered into the LBD Second Generation Italian Bakery Cake Contest. Last week we issued a cake, and at the end of this month, the last Monday of the month, we'll issue this one. The recipient receives a free 7-inch cake, choice of vanilla or chocolate, from our good friends at LBD's Second Generation Italian Bakery. And I've always been amazed, open every day, 7 days a week at 6 in the morning. Now, Mark knows me, that's like the middle of the night. So, 140 South Main Street in Bradford. Also, we have a trivia question that's been greatly simplified by our friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets. All you have to do is give us the name, be the first person to give the name of the man who played Santa Claus at annual parties 50 or so years ago, before the VFW Santa Parade took off. This started out as a 3-part question. First part being, where did those parties begin? We now know the answer was the VFW. Where did those parties move to when they got too large? That was the Nettle School. And now the one remaining question, be the first person, take a guess. You could win a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques. Name the person who played Santa Claus at those annual gatherings. Okay, you are on the open mic show. First caller.
Hello.
Hi there.
Who's this, Nate?
This is Tim. You're on the air.
Okay, Tim, this is
Dave, our public safety consultant.
You got it, brother. Listen, I was at Plugs Pond last week, right? And there was 3 people fishing out on the ice, and it was the day after we had that warm day. You know, we had a couple of cold days, then we get weather almost up into the 50s.
They were out fishing on the ice?
Yeah, I was amazed.
Where? Which pond?
Plugs Pond.
On Plug Pond. That's pretty dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Dave, we can count on you to tell us when the ice is safe, and you're saying it's not.
It's not, believe me. But I think that either the fire department or what's his name, vets there should go down and check the ice. It's a good safety procedure in all the ponds, and put up a sign, safe or unsafe.
Oh, I see, one or the other.
Yeah, right.
All right, well, that's a good idea. Usually quite a few city officials are listening to this program, and maybe the Public Works Department could make up some signs. Dave, do you know if they've had signs in the past?
They haven't had signs in the past, but I think that it would be a good idea if they did put one up, even if it's on the fence, wherever, where it can be visible, and this will save from people, going out on the ice and possibly falling through the ice.
Sure, absolutely. So I would imagine the Public Works Department, using the same lettering they make street signs with, could put together some type of signs, but maybe we'll just openly ask anyone in the City of Haverhill administration if that is doable, could save a life. And Dave, our public safety advisor, always keeps us up to date on conditions.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much to go through the ice already. Up in New Hampshire, they had 2 snowmobiles go through the ice, and 5 firefighters went in the water too.
Oh, yes.
Trying to save them.
No, that's excellent advice. So have you visited all of the waterways, or just from one?
No, I visit Round Pond, Pugs Pond, sometimes Chatterwick's Pond. I go around to the various ones, but, it's hard to see where the ice is thin, where you have black ice,
Oh, sure. Are you an ice fisherman?
Well, I used to be, and that's why I'm pretty skeptical about seeing people out on the ice when it's,
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate the advice. What other advice can you give us for this winter?
For this winter, stay in where it's warm, get in a sleeping bag, and do like the guy does on TV. Pull the zipper up over it. I'll see you in the springtime.
All right. So you're going to hibernate for the winter.
You got it.
All right. Well, Dave, thank you very much for that timely advice.
You're welcome. You take care.
Take care. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. All right, good advice. Ice is not safe. Don't walk on it. And please tell your children, your grandchildren, the kids next door, whomever you see, especially if you live near a place, children are seemingly always attracted to ponds and rivers and so on, and let them know the advice of Dave, WHAV safety consultant, that this is not safe. And when it is, he's sure to let us know. And meanwhile, again, I don't know if it's the Public Works Department, but if someone over there could consider the idea of making some signs, safe or unsafe. Now, of course, there's always the risk that the safe sign will stay out just an hour too long, I suppose. But it'll be a chore for someone for certain, but it could save a life. Okay, Mark, do we have another call? Okay, I've got to just drop that. Okay, so back to our contest. You could win, or recipient, but there's no reason why you can't nominate yourself. You can win a birthday cake from LBD's Second Generation Italian Bakery simply by wishing yourself or someone else a happy birthday. Please, birthdays for February only. And if you know a couple having an anniversary, they could, in February, wish them a happy anniversary. And, of course, a lot of people around here do this. I don't know, Mark might never do this, but, you order a birthday cake or wish a happy birthday to your meanest enemy just so you can get a slice. Would you do that?
No.
You wouldn't?
No.
Under what conditions would you get rid of your ethics for a piece of birthday cake, Mark?
Oh, ethics is something different than my worst enemy.
Oh, ethics is different. Hey, Mark, do you know anyone having a birthday in February that you want to wish? Mark,
well, actually, I have a birthday in January.
Your?
Not mine.
Oh, well, it's too late for the January cake, but we could still say happy birthday.
My daughter.
Oh, happy birthday.
21.
21, oh, God, for you.
Right? Yeah. I think I need more than cake.
No.
I need tranquilizers.
Tranquilizers, yes. Just don't take them with what she's now allowed to drink.
Yeah, thanks.
So that's a milestone, isn't it?
That is a milestone.
What day in January?
17th.
Oh, so you just have a few days.
A few days left of sanity.
All right. Well, good
well,
luck.
she made it to 21, no major crimes, no drug offenses, no pregnancies. So, Michelle and I did okay.
You're good parents.
Well, we tried.
Parents. Is she listening? Are you going to get an evil scowl when
Which,
you get home?
Kelsey or my wife?
Well, either, I guess.
It's just being me. I'm sure I'll get an evil scowl for something.
All right. Well, Mark.
It's me being me.
Mark, that's great. Mark is very graciously agreed to fill in pretty much at the last minute. Our normal producer.
No, you called me yesterday.
Well,
last minute would be this afternoon.
Which I have done in the
you
past.
have.
And he has come through, too. But Nate Webster, our producer, had an engagement tonight that he had to attend. We understand these kinds of things. There's only so much we can do with forcing volunteers to work. So,
Really?
yeah.
I at least know one volunteer that brought pizza.
Yeah, Mark not only comes in on his own time, not to mention, by the way, I hope some of you heard it. We have to go to a break, but I hope some of you heard it. Mark did 3 or 4 days of afternoons around Christmas.
That was fun, man.
It was a real treat
That
to
was
have
fun.
live DJ on the air in the afternoons.
Preparing for the FM.
And that's right, and because when the FM comes, and we should talk a little bit about that after the break.
Sure.
About how we're going to staff all of these hours so that they're live and local. But in any event, Mark comes in as to help, brings 2 liters of Pepsi, brings pizza. I mean, my goodness, look at my waistline. Well, then again, you look at his, but so much for that. Why don't we?
I'm dressing for the summer. I'm eating for the summer.
All right.
Keeping my girlish figure.
We're going to take a break so Mark can also get that call. We'll be back with more of the Open Mic Show after this.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Listen to The Wave with fewer interruptions, no pop-ups, and the choice of players by tuning directly from www.whav.net.
Catch the wave.
Those political sound bites you hear on the news are, at best, incomplete and could be misleading or even outright lies. This is David Pakman. Take time to delve into the truth by listening to The David Pakman Show, Tuesday through Friday nights at 8 on WHAV. Lack of logic and reason are exposed on The David Pakman Show as newsmakers collapse under cross-examination. Remember, only local radio can bring you this talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Today is January 12th. On this day in 1912, the labor protest known as the Bread and Roses strike began in Lawrence. A new state law had reduced the maximum work week from 56 to 54 hours. Factory owners responded by speeding up production and cutting workers' pay. Polish women were the first to shut down their looms and leave the mill. As they marched through the streets, workers from all the city's ethnic groups joined them. Over the next months, increasingly violent methods were used to suppress the protest, but the strikers maintained their solidarity. After Congress held hearings on the situation, the mill owners were anxious to avoid bad publicity. They settled with the strikers, bringing to an end a watershed event in American labor history. For more about the Bread and Roses strike, go online to massmoments.org. This Massachusetts Moment was brought to you by the Massachusetts Foundation for the Humanities.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show, a 50-year staple of democracy in the Merrimack Valley. This hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by Haverhill Bank, just one bank. Thank you very much, Haverhill Bank. Those of you who are watching, you may have noticed during the break, Mark LeMay had put up a photograph of Major Edwin Howard Armstrong and his logo for the Armstrong system of FM. Now, I wonder, Mark congratulated WHAV on Facebook the other day, singled me out as now I'm officially eccentric. So I wonder how Mark would feel about our calling our new FM signal the Armstrong system. I think it would be fitting. Okay, I've cleared most of the old remarks, a couple left, on the chat board at whav.net. TV. But if you have a comment or a question and you'd rather not call, we hope you would, but if you'd rather not, you can now enter your message on the chat board at WHAV.TV or the watch menu item at WHAV.net. Let's go to the phones. You are on the Open Mic Show.
How you doing?
Yeah, very good. How are you?
I'm Scott from Groveland. I have a guest on the Santa Claus. It wasn't Bernie Tebow Sr., was it, by any chance?
Not this one, but that's a good try.
Good try, yeah, Bernie Tebow.
Well, thank you. But so you're listening where?
I'm listening to Havel right now. Actually, I'm hanging out with Jamie Wood. With Jamie Wood. I think Ronnie Wood put the question in for you.
That's right. Well, if he wants to change his answer.
People wouldn't tell him the answer. I just kind of guessed Bernie Tebow Sr., so.
No, it's a good, and there's nothing wrong with taking a guess, but we're holding out for one other name.
Okay.
But thank you for calling. Appreciate it. Take care. All right, so one try, Bernie Tebow, for that question. That is not the correct answer as we've listed it. Again, repeating that question. To receive a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets, all you have to do is identify the person who portrayed Santa Claus at Christmas parties 50 years ago. This is... to be specific, before the Haverhill Santa Parade began in 1964, there were annual parties. They began at the VFW, and when the groups got too big after several years, they went to the Nettles School. All you have to do now is name the person who played Santa Claus at those parties and take a guess, like this last gentleman did. Take a guess, and you could win $10, same as cash, at Kimball Tavern Antiques. Our thanks go out to the Woods for providing this wonderful array of prizes so often. And, we have, for emergencies, thanks to Kimball Tavern Antiques, a box of goodies, so that every now and then we come up with some spur-of-the-moment contest, and we have a box filled with prizes here, too. We'll try to give those away from time to time. All right, Open Mic Show, 978-374-1900. Mark was taking the telephone call when I made my comment, but he posted on Facebook that I, Tim Coco, am now officially eccentric.
Yes.
When the...
not quite a crazy radio station owner, but... close.
Not quite a crazy radio station owner. Mark has worked for the crazy...
Oh, I've worked for a few.
Work for a few crazy radio stations.
Work for a few eccentric and crazy ones.
Every now and then, though, Mark will tell me about really positive stories from some mentors. Was there one, Mr. Waterman?
Waterman?
No, wrong name.
No. You talk about the news?
News person at WALE?
No, Bernie Sullivan.
Bernie Sullivan.
Yeah. If your mentor was... the fine gentleman from the Gazette, Barney Gallagher.
And Ed Johnson.
Bernie is my Barney.
Bernie is your Barney from WALE.
Similar look, similar attitude, that gristled, old newsman, got ink under his fingers type, person. Well, Bernie, never met a tape deck he didn't like and knew every city official dating back 30-plus years.
Now, I don't know if I was supposed to reveal this on the air so you couldn't shush me, but Bernie, according to what Mark has told me, Bernie was so good that he pretty much could tell the city councilors in Fall River.
Well, yeah, and the story goes, when I learned the ropes, like you did probably with Barney or, Ed or whoever, we would go to cover city council meetings, and that was sort of like your baptism by fire. And here, you know what I'll do? Since you're doing that, I'll turn on my camera just to be a swell
so they don't
guy.
See me coughing and
right,
choking.
Exactly.
I forgot about the camera, folks.
So
Mark is the one that tells me every week, forget there's a camera, you're a radio station, darn it.
Well, yeah. So Bernie would walk in, and we'd have the city council agenda, and he would predict, this one's going to go 8-2. This one's going to, 8-1. This one's going to go 7-2. This is going to be referred to committee. And then we would talk to a couple of city councilors before the meeting, and they would talk like the meeting was already done. And I can only tell these stories now, one, because Bernie has passed away. And so when you die, the statute of limitations is done. And we would go into the council chambers, and we'd sit there in Fall River Government Center, and lo and behold, item number 1 would go 7-2, and item number 2 would go 8-1, and item number 3 would be to committee, just as Bernie predicted. So it was Bernie was your Barney, I guess.
No, these old-time news people really got a handle on it. I've asked every now and then. I'll do it again publicly. Is there anyone out there listening or viewing who remembers Zax Bloomfield? And that's a real name, Mark. Zax Bloomfield.
What? That has like a network sound to it.
Zax Bloomfield was a long time. Yeah, it does.
I'm Zax Bloomfield.
Long-time City Hall reporter for the Haverhill Gazette.
Wow.
And he was such a fixture in the old City Hall in Haverhill that when he passed away rather unexpectedly in the mid-1950s, 54 or so, the City Council hung a photo of Zax Bloomfield in City Council chambers. Interestingly enough, I visiting City Hall some years ago, Zax had been moved into a cloakroom, and no one knew who he was. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and actually, to back up to Bernie Sullivan, he was actually a city councilor for a while.
Oh, really?
While he worked in radio.
Oh, so he did both.
Yeah.
That's tough covering yourself.
Well, he I want to say he got into radio as a result of being on the city council.
Okay.
And mind you, and again, this is with all respect in the world to Bernie Sullivan, the man did not have the voice for radio. He was very gravelly. He was, he smoked a pipe like from, in utero, he smoked a pipe. And he just didn't have that, he wasn't polished. He wasn't, but he had more connections. And to this day, I could call down to Fall River and talk to City Councilor Ray Mitchell, former Mayor Carlton Viveris, and say, Mr. Mayor, hey, it's Mark LeMay. Oh, you used to work with Bernie, didn't you? And that would be it. I mean, it's that type of thing. Yeah, absolutely,
doors, doesn't it? Well, it's funny. When Zax Bloomfield passed away, the Haverhill Gazette was looking for a new City Hall reporter. And there was a person working at WHAV, and this is after the Haverhill Gazette and WHAV separated. A person working at WHAV was Mr. Jim Simmons, and he was hired away from WHAV to the Haverhill Gazette, where he became a City Hall reporter. And I later worked for Jim Simmons. I mean, these are the greats of the business. I later worked for Jim Simmons at the Daily News of Newburyport, where he was suburban editor. You're on the Open Mic Show.
I am.
Hi there.
Hey, before I forget, I want to take a stab at that Santa question.
Oh, okay.
I mean, first I thought it was the real Santa Claus, but...
Oh, yeah. You thought it was the real... Okay, well, yeah. And for the children listening, of course, yes.
How about Sully?
You want to say the whole name?
I can't say his whole name because you know who I'm talking about. It's Tom's father.
Yeah, actually.
And there have been so many Sullivans along the way that what was Tom Sullivan's father's first name? I don't know. I don't remember.
I think you've won. John Sullivan.
John?
John Sullivan. He played Santa Claus at the VFW Christmas parties, and I'm sure you named all the details. Sully, you mentioned he was City Councilor Tom Sullivan's father. Long time. I think he was the founder of the VFW Santa Parade. So you win a $10 gift certificate, same as cash, to Kimball Tavern Antiques.
I didn't get the last one yet.
What last one?
From the last question I answered a couple of months ago. Floyd Lawson, the barber.
Wait a minute. You never got anything on that?
No.
Hold on. Let me.
I know you get busy, though.
Let me just... No, actually, I thought I finally caught up. Floyd. So Floyd the barber. So that was a gift certificate?
There you go again, thinking, Tim.
I believe so.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm making a new note here. Brian. Now, Brian, we're actually have to go to break, but we have a special graphic. Maybe Mark can put it up before we go into news. Brian informed me today, Brian Langlois, that a fund was established at Haverhill Bank. It's the Brian Langlois Relief Fund. Langlois, I'm sorry.
If people are more comfortable with the Langlois, that's okay with me.
No, I want to get it right. Even if I mangle your name 50 more times. But Brian Langlois, on your screen, Brian Langlois Relief Fund, care of Haverhill Bank. Now, what Brian didn't say in his note to me earlier was whether or not you can just go to the branches or not. So I just put the main address on the screen for mailing purposes.
Okay. I don't think it matters, but...
But, Brian, there's a picture of you full screen out there. I want to tell listeners that 2014 was not Brian's year. I'm not trying to embarrass Brian, but my goodness, what this man went through. He's blind. His wife was blind, had multiple sclerosis. She passed away. His boyhood home, where he was trying to sell the property, that whole thing almost got scuttled when the city condemned the house on School Street. It was later demolished, but luckily it was sold. And then Brian was robbed of his entire life savings after that. I mean, you can't have a worse year.
I'm glad that year is over.
Yeah, so hopefully 2015 comes through. So listeners, we're asking if you would consider contributing to the Brian Langlois Relief Fund, care of Haverhill Bank. I think you can stop at any branch. They'll take it. Or if you want to mail it, 180 Merrimack Street, Haverhill, Massachusetts, 01830.
Just one bank.
And, of course, just one bank, Haverhill Bank, just one bank. And if you didn't take down that address or don't know where the nearest branch is, go to haverhillbank.com, haverhillbank.com. Okay, so, Brian, if you'd like to call back after the news, Mark is actually trying to keep me on my schedule, which he's already failed this hour.
Okay, well, then I'll stay tuned, and hopefully we'll hear Rebecca Foster.
Maybe. All right, good luck, Brian. Let's talk a little later.
Sure enough.
Take care. All right, let's go to local news with News Director Dana Esmel, national news, local weather, and more, and we'll be right back.
It's 7:03.
WHAV Merrimack Valley. WHAV is a not-for-profit service of Public Media of New England Incorporated. It's heard on 1640 AM, the web, at whav.net, and participating cable television stations.
Here's what's happening in local news. A further bequest of funds to the city of Haverhill for law enforcement purposes is subject to formal approval by the Haverhill City Council during its meeting Tuesday night. On the agenda, the council is being asked to authorize Mayor James J. Fiorentini to accept an additional $240,000 disbursement from the Elmo D'Alessandro 1996 Trust. According to council documents, the funds would be placed in a separate account and subject to appropriation by the mayor and city council. It is expected to be the last major distribution to the city by the D'Alessandro estate. The city previously received a total $607,382.60 from the trust. The additional bequest would bring the city's share of the trust to $847,382.60. Recently, previous bequests from the D'Alessandro Trust Fund were used toward the now $447,125 roof replacement project at the Haverhill Police Headquarters on Bailey Boulevard. The Haverhill City Council meets at 7 p.m. Tuesday in council chambers at Haverhill City Hall. The Federal Communications Commission Friday afternoon authorized construction of a new FM radio station for Greater Haverhill. The FCC granted a construction permit to Public Media of New England Incorporated, parent of WHAV. The station will operate on 97.9 megahertz FM and will be the only FM station with Haverhill as its city of license. FCC Media Bureau Deputy Chief James D. Bradshaw issued the authorization. Reaction from Haverhill Mayor James J. Fiorentini.
This is good news for our city, and I congratulate Jim Coco and the other owners of WHAV and wish them the best.
Quote, "This is a great day for Haverhill citizens. Residents will soon have easier access to news, emergency information, and other programming vital to their interests. The FCC recognizes the importance of local radio and has entrusted nonprofit WHAV to provide this most fundamental public service," said Tim Coco, volunteer president and general manager. The next step will be a capital fundraising campaign to pay for transmission equipment, he added. It is the first time in nearly 60 years an FM construction permit has been issued in Haverhill. For more details, visit whav.net. A Haverhill man is facing motor vehicle-related charges from Haverhill police following his arrest Sunday afternoon. Haverhill police report 30-year-old George Holmes of Haverhill was arrested at 3:30 p.m. Sunday on White Street. He is charged with operating a motor vehicle with a suspended license, operating an unregistered motor vehicle, and operating an uninsured motor vehicle. In local high school sports, the Haverhill Hillies girls varsity ski team's in action Monday afternoon. They square off with North Andover at Bradford Ski Hill. For more schedule details, visit whav.net. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmel.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. The U.S. Military Central Command's social media accounts have been hacked, seemingly by Islamic State militant supporters. Threatening messages appeared on both CENTCOM's Twitter and YouTube accounts at about midday on Monday in Washington. Nina Maria Ponce reports.
The background and profile picture of the CENTCOM Twitter account were both hijacked to show a militant, and the phrase Cyber Caliphate and I Love You ISIS. CENTCOM's YouTube account was also hacked. There were threatening posts ranging from military scenarios and threats against US troops. One read, "We won't stop. We know everything about you, your wives and children." CENTCOM has confirmed that its Twitter account had been compromised, saying it's taking appropriate measures. The account has since been suspended.
French investigators continue to hunt for Hayat Boumediene, a partner in the deadly attack on a kosher supermarket, which left 5 people, including perpetrator Amadi Koulibaly, dead. Newly released CCTV footage seems to show Boumediene arrived in Istanbul on the 2nd of January. It's thought she then continued on to France and is now on the run in Syria. 17 people were killed in 3 days of bloodshed, which began at the Paris headquarters of satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. The video was released shortly after the French government announced it's mobilizing over 10,000 soldiers to increase security in the country following the terrorist attacks of the last week. Here's our correspondent in Paris, Jack Perrock.
French President François Hollande is chairing a crisis meeting on national security with his cabinet after over 1.5 million people took to the streets to show solidarity with the victims of the Charlie Hebdo attacks on Sunday. Among the public, there's now debate about how these attacks were to happen, while the 3 extremist Islamist perpetrators were all known in that capacity to authorities.
Meanwhile, the White House is under fire after President Obama failed to send either his Secretary of State or his Vice President to Paris in the wake of the attack. White House spokesman Josh Earnest now says it was a mistake not sending an official of high rank to Paris. Instead, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is currently in Pakistan, as Pakistani children have returned to the school in Peshawar, where Taliban gunmen killed 150 of their classmates and teachers last month. It's the first time the school has opened since the attack. Kate Fisher has more.
The December 16th terrorist attack was one of the worst Pakistan has experienced. The violence carried out by 7 Taliban militants heaped pressure on authorities to end the insurgency that kills and maims thousands every year. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry arrived in Pakistan on Monday. The goal of his unannounced trip to urge the government to do more to crack down on militant groups.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with WAVE weather. Any rain ending as some wet snow during tonight with maybe a coating, and then watch out for icy spots as it clears out by morning and the temperatures fall back into the teens by then. It's mostly sunny, breezy, very cold tomorrow, only around 20, and in the single numbers at night with clear skies, sun with a few clouds on Wednesday, we're up in the 20s. This is Gary Best. Your next WAVE weather is coming up in 30 minutes.
This is Pacifica Radio for the Merrimack Valley, WHAV.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, open mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
This is the Open Mic Show. Sorry for the pause. I saw Mark was queuing something up, and I thought he might be running it. Okay, so the Open Mic Show is being brought to you this hour by Haverhill Bank. Just one bank. And you know, there are plenty of branches throughout the area now. You may be familiar. The newest one is in Salem, New Hampshire, right off Route 97. And of course, there's one, your children probably know it better than you do, one at Haverhill High School, one at Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School, and then up the main office, Merrimack Street, downtown Haverhill. There's Lafayette Square, there's Rosemont Street, and there's one in the town of Merrimack. So probably a Haverhill Bank near you. All right, Brian Langlois has won the Kimball Tavern Antiques trivia question. You, if you're just tuning in, let me just refresh your memory. This question's been out for about a month. The Wood brothers at Kimball Tavern Antiques shortened the question a bit. Started out as a three-part question. Before the VFW Santa Parade began 50 years ago, there was a holiday party. Where did it take place? That answer is the VFW. And then when it became too large, it moved to. That answer is the Nettle School. And then the final question they left is who played Santa Claus at those events? And Brian Langlois got the answer correctly, John Sullivan from the VFW. John Sullivan is the father of Haverhill City Councilor Tom Sullivan, well known in the community. He was also the Veteran Services Director in the city of Haverhill, and I kind of remember I loved his style. I was a newspaper reporter at the time for the Haverhill Gazette, and John Sullivan came before the council with some request, maybe something for the VFW Santa Parade, and he said to the council, well, thank you very much. And the council said, Ted Pelosi, former city council president at the time, said, John, wait right there, we've got something for you. And he skips ahead in the agenda and tells John Sullivan that he's received a raise. And John Sullivan, in a way that only John Sullivan could do, he says, well, thank God I deserve it. So that was a great, that was just one of the great lines I remember from John Sullivan. So he is the person who played Santa Claus. In the studio at this very minute, so far declining to go on the air, but the owners of Rumbo, Dalia, Díaz, and Alberto, and you know I never checked on the pronunciation.
What's Alberto's last name?
Suris.
Suris.
All
She's
right.
very shy, Dalia is.
All right, well, the publishers of Rumbo, that's a free weekly bilingual newspaper. It's published in Lawrence, but covers the entire Merrimack Valley and southern New Hampshire. And it has Haverhill news in it, Lawrence and Methuen, and I think it's a pretty unique format. Side by side, you'll see the same story in English, and on the other side in Spanish. So it uniquely reaches more people. Mark LeMay, if you're watching on WHAV.tv or Haverhill Community Television, he's got a picture of the current front page up there. Pretty impressive that they do this every week. And they're here because of WHAV's announcement that it has received a construction permit from the Federal Communications Commission to build a new FM radio station for Haverhill. We'll talk more about that, but first we're going to go to this break because Mark wants to keep me on the schedule. Up this hour is Community Spotlight. We'll be back in about 1 minute.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Phil Christie here. Last year, WHAV helped local nonprofits by airing 8,780 community spotlight messages. Only local radio can bring you this level of public service, but only WHAV does.
Community Spotlight is brought to you by Haverhill Bank. Haverhill Bank is a generous supporter of the area's civic and cultural program.
That's all it takes is just one bank. Haverhill Bank. Community Spotlight.
This is Anna Chipolis, a volunteer with Animal Rescue, Merrimack Valley. You can help provide food, medical care, and sterilization clinics for feral, stray, and foster cats. ARMV donation boxes are at Market Basket stores at River's Edge and Westgate Plazas in Haverhill, Market Basket and Shaw's in Plastown, New Hampshire, Market Baskets in North Andover and Lawrence, and Stop and Shop in Methuen. Donations may also be dropped off at weekly adoption events at Petco in Plastown, New Hampshire. For more information about ARMV, call 978-374-7233 or visit online at armv.org.
Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the news page at whav.net or email news@whav.net.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show. This hour of the Open Mic is being brought to you by Haverhill Bank. Just Bank. And yes, Dalia is here. Dalia Díaz. Your title is publisher of Rumbo, editor?
Editor, director, translator,
reporter, photographer.
Yeah, I don't do Windows.
You don't do Windows. Does that mean you have a Mac? All right. So Dalia Díaz, I have to say, I'm very impressed with your operation.
Thank you.
You've been putting the paper out since 1996, is
That's
this correct?
Right.
Since 1996. It's a free, weekly, bilingual newspaper, published from Lawrence, but you cover Lawrence, Methuen, Haverhill, southern New Hampshire?
Yes, Nashua, Lowell.
Nashua and Lowell, too.
Manchester.
It's a big beat, Manchester. So,
Thanks to my husband. He's the one who has to do the beat.
Oh, okay. So, and that's Alberto?
Yes.
Is he too shy to come on, or does he need to take the pictures? All right. Well, I have to say, and you also, you're doing a story, or at least a photograph, on WHAV's being licensed by the Federal Communications Commission. But you're also a radio person yourself. You have a show on WCCM?
Yes, I've been doing that for about 12 years, if not more. But I have been involved on the radio since 1991. At the old WNNW.
Oh, the WNNW, okay.
1110.
1110, that's right. And actually, do you know what it was called before that? Before it was purchased, it was WVNH, the Voice of New Hampshire.
Ah.
That goes way
I
back.
never heard that.
And you know who was, I'm sorry, this is why he calls me eccentric. Do you know who the nighttime host was on WVNH?
me guess. Was it you?
No.
Ah.
No. Someone who's gone on to great fame, hopefully fortune, and that was, now I need Mark's help.
David Allen Boucher.
David Allen Boucher, who's
Oh,
now
my
on,
goodness.
on Magic, and that whole format, that the quiet nighttime music, and that started at WVNH 1110 Salem, New Hampshire, and so.
Can I tell you a story about David Allen Boucher?
Oh well, David, are you listening? And he probably can't be. He's working. All right.
That's right. He's been around for such a long time.
He has.
Yeah. When my husband and I had the first date, which, by the way, was a blind date.
You had a blind date?
Yes.
Okay.
One of those that worked.
But you can see now. I'm sorry.
We were in the car just trying to get to know each other, and he said, well, what do you like listening on the radio? Well, in the morning I like Lauren and Wally. Oh, me too. And in the evening, oh, David Allen Boucher. Oh, my God, me too.
Oh, okay.
So that was day one.
David Allen Boucher, he is a friend
I wonder
of
how many
WHAV.
people he put together.
Who knows, actually? That's a good question. We'll have to ask him on Facebook. I know he follows WHAV pretty carefully. He's a local resident, and I don't know how. I'm not going to give out too much information because I don't know how private it wants to be.
Very much. He is a very private guy.
All right, but he's local.
Yeah. He lives in Methuen, right?
That's right. That's right. That's what I understand. Now you're at 60 Island Street. Now, is that's the building owned by
the Yepes brothers. He used to be Seidel.
Okay. Oh, it's been sold?
Oh, Seidel sold it to the Yepes brothers about 4 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I remember, I think the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council, our next sponsor on this program, started at 60 Island Street. And Chet, what's the name of the company? KBR?
KGR.
KGR, see? See, you're going to be my memory from now on. Okay.
Well, we just moved from there. We were there for 4 years.
Oh, you're not there now?
No, last weekend, practically, in December, we moved back home because it's just the two of us.
Oh, okay.
And we don't need a lot of room. Today we can put a newspaper with a couple of computers.
It's amazing how that works. In the old days, that was not possible, but you're right.
So we set up an office at home, and we're going to be saving a lot in rent.
Oh, well, that makes good sense. And you're not the only publisher in the area that does that. I know of one other. I'm not going to be careful what names I use, but there's another glossy color magazine that's produced in someone's living room, I believe.
So if anybody's looking for a good big space with very nice landlords, go to 60 Island Street.
Oh, okay.
We left a beautiful space there.
All right. Beautiful space available, commercial, 60 Island Street. It's a really great location, actually. That's not too far from, I don't know what to call it, the improved connector, the Canal Street. Right?
Yes.
I was
the
amazed.
Gateway.
I was amazed because while it was being done, I could not figure out the outcome. And now it's like it's always been there.
And can you remember what it used to look like?
Yeah, I mean, I used to take the sharp left to get on Canal from Marston, right? And now it's this nice, gradually gliding, brand new bridge. And then it's like it was always there.
I can't remember what it was like.
Well, the first time I had to drive down there afterward, I was surprised because that is essentially a downtown connector, which I think Marshall Street was intended to be after 495 was built. But there's another city around here called Haverhill, incidentally, that tried to build a downtown connector. The state started building at Route 97 off 495. You'll see that the road splits into I guess it's called a deceleration lane. And then downtown, Bailey and Ginty Boulevards by the Haverhill Courthouse and so on, you can see those are extra wide roads. Those were built during urban renewal, but somehow no one ever connected the two ends. It's like a comedy project. So we called it the road to nowhere for a long time. So I'm glad to see that after all these years, Lawrence figured out how to connect its two roads.
Yeah, no, Lawrence is doing very well. And there is a lot of progress in the city.
Now, you are obviously a long-time observer. Most of us just try to figure out what's happening from articles in Rumbo and so on, and maybe you're too deep into the thick of it to offer any commentary. But is there anything listeners should know about when they read about Lawrence and the former mayor, the current mayor, the city council, votes of no confidence, and so on? You've been covering all of those
Don't
issues.
believe anything you.
You're from the publisher of a newspaper. Don't believe everything you read. All right.
No, because people tend to think that we are one-sided, that we are not impartial enough. It's like everything else. Make sure that you read from different sources, that you listen to a lot of different venues, and then make up your mind where the truth lies. I don't have the absolute truth because I am very opinionated, and as a human being that I am, and I may be twisted.
Oh, was an honest reaction.
Yes.
You know, there are very few reporters who can honestly say that they have no biases at all, because even choosing which stories to write about and which ones you don't write about reflects a little bit of that bias. And you know, Mark LeMay and I were talking before the program, and my former bosses, one was Barney Gallagher at the Haverhill Gazette, and before that, Edwin V. Johnson. And essentially the lesson they gave us is that if everybody hates you, then you must have done a good job writing that story.
Oh my God! So I am the name of success.
That's right, because
I have a lot of people out there.
So that's how it is. But Mark, did I miss a break, or is this okay? All right. Okay, all right. I wasn't looking at his hand signals, but at least he's giving me hand signals. Nate, when he was on, would give me these funny little. I had no idea what he's trying to tell me. Okay, so Mark's an old radio hand, and Nate's a good guy too. All right, so yes, if you end up with few friends, you're doing your job. That's what I was told.
I figured I got into this business not to make friends. There was a need in the community. I wanted to fulfill it. And after 18 and a half years, I think that I've done pretty well when it comes to that. But when I started out, I spent 15 years at Channel 56.
Oh, yeah, tell us about your background.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. You were Channel 56?
Yes, I was producer and host of a show there in Spanish, and I ended up winning an Emmy. So,
wow.
Again, I must have been doing the right things.
Must be. I take it that was back before the station was purchased by Mr. Anson.
Oh, yeah.
Way back, okay.
Oh, yes. We're talking 1978.
Was Dale Dorman still doing things back then?
Yes, he was.
Ah, see, okay.
I got to meet him, yes.
See, Mark knew that I was just like, I live in the past. So Dale Dorman used to do those between programs announcements.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I saw him a few years ago when Bruce Arnold was honored.
Oh, I was there then.
You
at
went
the
to
Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Mark? Yeah, well, okay.
Remember Dale Dorman was there?
Yes.
Was he changed?
Yeah, I mean, illness was pretty severe.
Yes, it was so sad.
That was such a sad. But I remember even younger, going back to when Channel 56 played those shows after school, like Timmy and Lassie and Lost in Space, and there'd be Dale Dorman trying to make the best
of it. Come on, kids!
Yes, that's right. And of course, most other people think of RKO or something like that. But so you worked there and you had a program. What was the name of the program?
De todo un poco. A little bit of everything.
Ah, a little bit of everything.
And what I was going to tell you about that, it was that from the very beginning, I had no idea how to produce a TV show. But I knew that there was a need, because I didn't have any background on that. And I wrote a letter, and I must have been convincing enough that they gave me the chance to start a show. And it was the technicians. I will forever be grateful to the technicians. They taught me how to run a show.
Really?
Yeah, they were wonderful to me. And from day one, I said to myself, I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to let my prejudice, because I have plenty of them, interfere with the quality of the show and what the public is going to see. And I think I held true to that.
Sounds like good control.
And that was for 15 years until, thanks to President Reagan, my show was canceled.
Oh, wow. Well, can you stay for another segment?
Sure.
Because that is a great cliffhanger. Thanks to President Reagan. All right, it's 7:30 on the Open Mic Show. We're going to go to local weather. There's some forecasts made just for the Merrimack Valley from WHAV's own meteorologists. You'll find them far more accurate than those Boston stations. We'll be back after that.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:31.
Phil Christie here. Still not sure when your favorite features are broadcast? Check out the What's On page at www.whav.net for complete listings.
Catch the wave.
On air or online, WHAV serves you. All day long, keep up to date with tenacious but objective local reporting from the only Haverhill-based news source. Find out about civic and charitable events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour, and better prepare with WAVE weather heard every 30 minutes. For talk, there's Tom Hartman weekdays at noon, the Open Mic Show every Monday night, and David Packman Tuesday through Friday nights. And there's more. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of soft gold music radiates day and night. Only local radio can bring you this combination of music, news, and features, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with Wave Weather. Any rain ending as some wet snow during tonight with maybe a coating, and then watch out for icy spots as it clears out by morning and the temperatures fall back into the teens by then. It's mostly sunny, breezy, very cold tomorrow, only around 20, and in the single numbers at night with clear skies, sun with a few clouds on Wednesday, we're up in the 20s. This is Gary Best. Your next Wave Weather is coming up in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show. This hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. All right, when we last left our hero, Dalia, reporter, photographer, editor, writer, correspondent, whatever other titles, and probably empty the trash too, right?
I leave that to my husband.
All right. So when we last left our hero, she was on Channel 56, producing her own program, hosting her own program, until President Reagan did something. What happened?
Personally,
all right.
No, you're probably too young to remember, but...
No. Mark, stop laughing in there. You know, there's a good thing called chemicals to look like this, you know.
Can you sell me some?
I may well be older than you, so don't worry.
There was such thing as the deregulation of the means of communication.
Oh, that's right. We had deregulation and the fairness doctrine.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us the story.
So prior to that, all the TV stations had to provide programming directed to groups, different groups in the community. Not all of them, but if they committed to do a Spanish program or one for children or for the black community, they had to fulfill that commitment. And as a result, all the TV stations in the area had one program in Spanish. And mine was the longest lasting. It was probably the last one to be canceled. But when the deregulation came about, the reason was that now with the cable, we have access to a lot of programming. It was a big, big mistake because before we had local news on all the local stations about issues affecting the communities all over the state, in every city and town.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Univision, Telemundo, and all those other channels that came about later through cable are all from foreign states and foreign countries. And they don't cover anything local.
They don't cost anything, right?
Yeah, so it was a big mistake, and that was the reason why all the shows that were costing the station money to produce were canceled because they no longer had to provide them.
Oh, that's interesting backdrop on your interest in the media because WHAV, it's claimed to fame, and that's why we created a nonprofit corporation to
This is
protect
the future.
We had to do something because there's, as you may be aware, up until 2 years ago, the Eagle Tribune Haverhill Gazette consolidated office downtown closed. There's actually no other news media actually based in this city. So it, and I'm not blaming anyone. I mean, there's different economic issues and so on, but someone has to do it. You're doing it in print. WHAV's new FM station at 97.9 hopes to do that. And as a matter of fact, this program is going to expand back to 5 nights a week like it used to be years ago. I will not be on 5 nights a week. What we likely will do is rotate the nights among different hosts so that maybe Wednesday is a politics night and Thursday is at home night. Maybe, whatever it is, Friday might be with Dalia Díaz. Who knows? So there's a lot of good things coming. So that's fascinating. So you were in the midst of this. This is when the Fairness Doctrine ended, and this is when consolidation of the media began in earnest.
That's right, yeah. When my show was canceled, it was in 1992, then I went to the radio station, and I was doing romantic music in the evening.
Romantic music in the evening?
Yeah, I was trying to compete with David Allen Boucher.
Ah.
Yeah. And for a couple of hours every night. And I really, really enjoyed it, but I enjoy mostly something that I didn't have before on television, and it was the instant rapport with the public.
That's right.
People would call me, and that's priceless.
And that's right. Dalia's wondering why the phones aren't ringing, and I told her that our audience tends to be very polite about interrupting. But I don't know how long Dalia can stay. But if you want to call right away, she'll talk to you. 978-374-1900. 978-374-1900. Did you know that Rumbo News covers Haverhill and that it's available? Actually, that's a good question. Is it... where can they find it if they're in Haverhill, for example?
Actually, we're not doing a good enough job covering Haverhill. And I wish that I would hear more from people about different events. And everything that we publish, we do it for free. Nobody pays for having their events. That Haverhill team.
Oh, that's right, Team Haverhill?
Oh, Team Haverhill, backwards.
That's right.
Oh, they keep me busy. What
they
wonderful work.
Things.
What wonderful work they do.
All right, good news there for Team Haverhill. You're getting your word out.
I'm a big fan.
When you're sending WHAV something, just do a CC or actually carbon copy like they used to and send it to Rumbo News. Hey, how can they reach you? That's a good question.
The best way is rumbo@rumbonews.com.
Rumbo@rumbonews.com. I don't pronounce my R's as well as you do. Say it again.
Neither does my son. Rumbo.
Mark, can you do it?
No.
Okay. He's not even going to try.
No,
I just love the way it rings.
Rumbo@rumbonews.com.
All right. Can you pick it up? I know that I've seen it, I think, in odd places, like on top of...
What do you mean odd?
Well, I meant on my travels. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I've seen it at near the ATMs at some of the banks in downtown Haverhill.
Yes, City Hall, the public library.
City Hall, public library.
Some banks, yeah.
Okay.
I don't recall now.
Well, feel free, because Alberto has to make all the deliveries, right?
That's right.
Feel free to drop a few at our studio. We'll give them away. But not to add to your gas mileage. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, and so people can get a hold of you that way. Rumbo. Better. At rumbonews.com. Mark doesn't think it's any better at all. Okay.
So after spending 15 years on television, about 22 years on the radio, and 18 and a half years with the newspaper, I can say I've had experience in all three.
We have a real celebrity here, folks.
No, don't
Channel
call me
56.
that. No, don't call me that.
Actually, was that WLVI back then, or was it
Yes,
WLVI.
WLVI.
What was the old call letters for 56?
KBG
Oh, that's right, KBG, Kaiser Broadcasting.
Oh, yeah. That was before, yeah.
See, that's how old I am, see?
Well, you beat me. But of all three, my favorite is radio.
Radio is your favorite?
Yes.
I think Mark would agree with you there. I guess I would agree with you. We do television because people want to connect with their audiences, so we can do it for a couple hours a week and maybe more.
I would prefer not to do TV anymore. I lost my looks.
Oh, I think you do just fine. I think she's doing quite fine.
But
Alberto, very good. So, all right. How can I
interview you?
Sure. Oh, that's right. You're a news reporter.
Because I also know that you are a journalist by trade.
Started in 1978 at the old WHAV. Went to the Haverhill Gazette.
How do you feel about the news media today, the way it has changed?
I'm speechless, I guess is the word. No, I'm very frustrated. There's been a change in dynamics. We have the internet is apparently hurting newspapers, and newsprint is going down. I'm not sure that is the entire answer. I think that if you build a quality product, people will come. And I know that things like Monster has taken classified ads away from newspapers, and that was a very big source of revenues and things along those lines. But I will tell you, a year ago or so, I was trying to my dog had an unexpected pregnancy, and it's shameful. My dog, so I had
unexpected.
Unexpected. We fixed that since. Fixed her. But anyway, we have 3 pups. You know, it's almost impossible to do a pet listing. Craigslist won't take a pet listing because they're afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid of that. And we no longer have, this is why people don't realize what we're losing when we give up on our old forms of media. So I think it's frustrating, but I also think that we have to find new ways to bring the news. People are actually reading more than ever. They're just reading differently. They're not reading necessarily the daily newspaper that used to come in the afternoon or the morning. They're online. They may be on their phones, and we're going to try to adapt to that.
That's why we have Rumbo online also.
That's right. That's where we got our graphic.
Yeah.
The whole paper is there. I should have said that. Rumbo. I still can't do that R. RumboNews.com.
Stop. You're hurting yourself.
All right. RumboNews.com. You can look at the whole paper online as a PDF. You can just turn the pages.
And if you advertise with us, your ad will live on forever on the internet.
And so I did see your archives.
Yes.
All your backed issues, or quite a few of them, right?
Many, many years, like 12, 13 years.
12 years of news items there. So, no, but that's a great question you asked. I don't know how this is going to play out in the future, but I do think people are going to lose their democracy if they're not informed. I mean, how do they know whether to vote for a politician or not if they don't know anything about that person? For all they know, suitcases of cash could be leaving in the trunks of cars leaving their city or town halls. As far as I know, that's not happening, folks. But how do they know? It's important for democracy, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. And one problem that I have, I was trained in Haverhill. My husband and I were both trained by HCTV.
Oh, you were trained at the carrier programming, Haverhill Community Television, now known as HC Media.
That's right. And I was a volunteer for a while. I think they took me off the list. They haven't called me anymore because my time was so limited. But I love the work that they do here. And they're so organized. Look at the way that you're finding now your cooperation with them. And I wish that is something that we could have in Lawrence.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. Can you stay for a phone call?
Sure.
Okay. I'll tell you what, though. We have to take a brief break. This hour we have a movie review. I don't remember which one. And then we'll be right back. We've got someone on the phone, and we'll be back with more of the Open Mic Show after that.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Still not sure when your favorite features are broadcast? Check out the What's On page at www.whav.net for complete listings.
Merrimack Valley Happenings is your weekly guide to economic news and cultural events. It's a quick read about local business, the economy, and higher education. It also features an all-in-one calendar of business, cultural, and recreational events. View Merrimack Valley Happenings online or sign up for a weekly email at merrimackvalley.info.
Catch the wave!
Hi, I'm meteorologist Gary Best. Do you need to know if it's going to be hot or cold, wet or dry? Well, find out every half hour, 7 days a week with WAVE Weather. I'll keep you in touch with up-to-the-minute reports covering the greater Merrimack Valley and beyond. It's WHAV for accurate weather when you want it.
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Mike Friend. This week, From Lost to Found on the Pacific Crest Trail. As a point of fact, that tease line is taken from the title of Cheryl Strayed's 2012 book, now brought to the screen as the film Wild. Starring Reese Witherspoon at her best, the story is not only about her character, the real-life version of whom consulted on the production, and her epic journey on the PCT, but of how her pre-trail life, especially after the loss of her mother, spiraled into self-destruction. Everything about Wild exudes genuineness. There's the nuts and bolts of actual trail life and the people met along the way. The relationship, seen in flashback with her mother, played with touching warmth by Laura Dern, and the frustration of Cheryl's ex, but still best friend, sensitively brought off by Thomas Sadowski, recently of HBO's The Newsroom and the film John Wick. Also honest and believable is the human-scale cinematography and the soundtrack. The temptation here would have been to overdo it with sunny mountaintop vistas and lush meadows, but as anyone who has actually hiked a trail like this knows, those sights are rare compared to latrines and general monotony, often when it is anything but sunny. Dallas Buyers Club director Jean-Marc Vallée keeps things grounded, but isn't afraid to go outside the lines a bit and hint at the spiritual with a CGI creature who appears to Cheryl at distant intervals. The soundtrack makes extensive use of the Simon and Garfunkel song El Condor Pasa, and it works so well you'll wonder if Paul Simon envisioned its use here when he adapted it over 40 years ago. Redemption stories can be cloying, and the purification through nature ideas as old as Henry David Thoreau, but Wild is neither cloying nor retreaded. It's understated and powerful storytelling that few films approach. This has been Take Two Movie Review. I'm Mike Friend. Catch up with us at TakeTwoMovieReview.com and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Take2_Review.
Music. Catch the wave. WHAV. Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents The Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
This is the Open Mic Show. I'm Tim Coco. This hour of the Open Mic is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. All right, still here with Dalia Díaz, but apparently our phone caller wasn't willing to wait, and I apologize for the delay. Mark is trying to keep me on my schedule because otherwise I'm still talking when the show is cut off. So Mark's doing his job. If the caller would call back, I certainly would appreciate it. Dalia is here for 10 more minutes till the top of the hour, and she's inviting calls from the area. By the way, we are heard in Methuen, we are heard in Haverhill, and seen in Haverhill. If a resident in one of the communities wants to call and ask Dalia how they can get into the newspaper, here's a question I'll ask for you, but I want you to ask the next one, folks. Do people have to pay to have their news translated into Spanish if send it in English?
No, I do all the translations.
And if they send it in Spanish, you'll translate to English?
Yes. I would appreciate it if anybody's sending anything, if they send it in both languages. It would save me an awful lot
Save
of
our time if you send in both languages, but if you have an event and you want to reach one or the other, people speaking the language, Dalia will do the work. She'd appreciate it if you do it. But it's an interesting model. I can't imagine. Now, you may be aware that I have a foreign-born spouse who speaks 3 languages. I speak 1. So I'm at a great
That means you're an American.
Yes. I think it's a terrible disadvantage that we don't leave high school speaking the other languages, some other language. I mean, I remember Miss Bonnie Colton in Haverhill High School, and I don't think I know 3 words of French. And in fact, when I visited Paris, the Parisians didn't think I knew 3 words of French. So you're absolutely right. It's a little bit almost arrogant on the part of Americans not to know other languages. So I'm glad that you raised that point. But you'll do the work for, let's say, it's the YMCA or the YW or the Boys and Girls Club. They need something and they want to reach the audience. You'll do the work. You'd prefer some help, but you'll do it if you have to. Anyone have a question about that? News side by side. I can't imagine having to edit that. But then again, I don't speak 2 languages.
Well, but remember, Rumbo is my baby. And we do everything with such love and care that it's not a job.
I understand. One last time, folks, 978-374-1900. What convinced you to start the paper? Was there a particular event that you felt wasn't covered or something?
Oh, I was working in the school department in Lawrence at the time and doing public relations. And the local English language daily newspaper never once published any of my press releases.
Really?
In 4 years that I did that job.
None of your press releases.
So I used to come home so frustrated. And that big troublemaker over there, my husband, he used to say, if you don't like it, you're going to have to start your own newspaper.
Actually, Mark, didn't you have a former boss say something like that? If they don't like what we put on the air, they can start their own station?
Yeah, he was one of the eccentric ones.
Oh, okay. It wasn't me.
And one day we did. We had no idea what we were getting into.
Must have been a lot of work. You had to find a printing plant. You don't own a printing press, I take
it. No.
Had to do that.
But we associated with people from whom we could learn, and we just started and learning in the process.
Now, where were you born?
Cuba.
You were born in Cuba?
Yes.
All right. What do you think? Oh, well, that was a great tie-in. So what do you think of the easing of the embargo on Cuba?
I don't know what's going to happen. Aside from that big news that broke out that day, we haven't heard much.
Now, matter of fact, we heard that maybe Cuba hasn't released some prisoners they said they were going to release.
We haven't heard anything official. Did you watch 60 Minutes a few days after?
No, I didn't.
You can watch it online.
Oh, okay.
On CBS.com. It was a wonderful report. And just a few days after it was announced. But nobody knows what's really going to happen and how the Cuban people are going to benefit from that.
Did you leave Cuba because of the overthrow?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, all right.
We escaped on a boat.
You came on a boat, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very. I'm sorry, I never made the connection.
That's another show.
Fascinating. That's another show. Yeah, you know. I've already kept it here like an hour. So, all right. I'd love to have you back to talk about that because. One of the things that used to amaze me when I was younger, and I'd watch those news reports about what's happening in Cuba, and they would have beautiful condition United States cars from 30, 40 years before, like Edsels.
If you watch that 60 Minutes report, you're going to see plenty of those.
Oh, they're still around?
Oh, my God. They all have a price tag. If you ask any of the owners, $25,000, $30,000.
Well, they're now classics.
They know that
they're
someday
antiques.
Some American is going to come and buy them.
Yeah, the roads aren't salted; they're going to survive. So that's a great point. Wow. So, so what year did you come here?
63.
1963, okay.
That makes it 51 years.
51 years. Wow, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
And, wow, there's so much. It caught me off guard. For some reason, it didn't even occur to me to ask until this minute. So I'd love to have you back and learn more. Have you written about it at all, your personal experiences?
No, I can't.
Too difficult?
Yeah.
No, so then maybe you don't want to answer too many questions about it either.
My kids ask me, how come I haven't done it?
There,
yes. Right? My kids ask me, how come I have never written anything about it? It's too hard.
I imagine something that might frustrate you because I've talked to others about this, and I'm going to get yelled at by my listeners, but it's sometimes Americans who are born here and who don't really have to think about anything else can be so ignorant because I imagine you hear people maybe mention Castro. That's a name they've heard of, but they don't know much about the revolution or the Batista government and all of these things. And does it frustrate you that Americans don't have much depth in foreign affairs?
Oh, my God, yes, it is awful. In 2000, I went to Cuba with my daughter because I wanted her to see the reality of my country, where I was born, so that she can appreciate this country a lot better.
Yes, I would think that's a good lesson. Did you have any trouble with traveling then?
No, no.
I guess this is all going to change, but you have to go to Canada first or something? Or?
No, as Cubans, we could go through directly.
Okay.
Yeah. Me as a Cuban and my daughter as my daughter, it's understood that she has relatives in Cuba, so even if they were born in this country, they can travel freely.
Okay, so there are no bans on reunions.
But more than, when I went in 2000, I was told that more than 100,000 Americans every year travel to Cuba because they go through a third country.
Has Mark asked you to bring him back cigars?
The order is there for my next trip. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, Mark. I had to work that in. Maybe the easing of the restrictions, it won't be as much of an issue. All right. It's about a little less than 2 minutes. Maybe there's that call you've been waiting for, Dalia. Mark is... Mark says no. All right. Well, I appreciate your time coming out tonight, and I appreciate that you wanted to take photographs for the newspaper of WHAV being licensed.
This is a big step, and I had to cover it.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I want to keep track of you as well. So if Alberto
That sounds like a threat.
No, I don't mean that. In this day and age it does, doesn't it? In the old days, it wasn't. But maybe Alberto on his paper runs will drop some off here. We get some out there.
What a wonderful way to use technology. Look at that. The TV show that used to take 10, 12 people to produce, now it's only one guy.
Yeah, Mark feels a little bit overworked too, doesn't he? He's answering the phones. He's monitoring the radio station automation. He's monitoring and flipping video on the television. He's got a computer left and right, a microphone in the center.
It's working for an eccentric radio station owner.
Yes.
And holding a conversation with Alberto.
I'm doing that too. All right. Well, it is 8 o'clock. It's time for local news. Thank you very much,
It's been
Dalia.
delightful being here.
I really want to see more of you, and I really do mean that.
Well, and I wish you
One way
the
or
very, very best.
Well, thank you very much, and really same to you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Take care. All right, we're going to go to local news with Dana Esmo. We'll be back with the Open Mic Show in about 5 minutes.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 8:01.
WHAV Merrimack Valley. WHAV is a not-for-profit service of Public Media of New England Incorporated. It's heard on 1640 AM, the web, at whav.net, and participating cable television stations.
Here's what's happening in local news. Although a parking garage has sat on the site since 2011, the city is still paying for environmental issues on the contaminated block. Haverhill City Councilors Tuesday night are being asked to transfer $15,304 from reserves to an oil contamination account related to the 57 Granite Street garage. The money will be used to conduct air pollution monitoring within the garage and complete required cleanup reports. Quote, "It was unfeasible, if not impossible, to fully remediate the site given available funding and the time constraints of the expiring federal earmarks that funded garage construction," said Andrew K. Herlihy, the city's Community Development Division Director. In a letter to Mayor James J. Fiorentini, Herlihy explained it costs more than $1 million in state and federal money to clean the former Ted's for Tires property. He said a final cleanup report is overdue to the State Department of Environmental Protection. The 315-space garage is owned by the Merrimack Valley Regional Transit Authority, but built on city-owned land. Public Media of New England Incorporated, parent of WHAV, today received the GuideStar Exchange Bronze Participation Level, a leading symbol of transparency and accountability provided by GuideStar USA Incorporated, the premier source of nonprofit information. Quote, "As a news organization, WHAV seeks transparency and accountability. It is only fitting WHAV does the same," said President and General Manager Tim Coco. He added, quote, "As a GuideStar Exchange participant, WHAV uses the platform to share information about its work to supporters and GuideStar's immense online audience of nonprofits, grant makers, individual donors, and the media," end quote. The GuideStar Exchange is an initiative designed to connect nonprofits with current and potential supporters. For more details, visit whav.net. Pentucket Regional School District students and staff will soon have the benefit of a brand new emergency operations plan and a real-time threat alert system when they are implemented later this month. The police and fire chiefs of West Newbury, Groveland, and Merrimack all collaborated with the district administration to develop plans addressing a multitude of potential hazards, including severe storms, active shooters, bomb threats, and other emergencies. A copy of the report will be released to the public soon, according to a news release. Merrimack Police Chief Eric Shears was particularly instrumental in supporting the adoption of the district's new real-time threat alert system, CopSync 911. Quote, "We designed a school security plan for Pentucket that will help administrators and staff members manage any emergency that arises," Chief Shears said. According to authorities, CopSync will reduce response time during emergencies while providing greater situational awareness to staff and police. For more in-depth coverage, visit whav.net. In local high school sports, the Whittier Tech Wildcats girls junior varsity basketball team squares off Monday afternoon at home against Pentucket Regional. For more schedule details, visit whav.net. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmel.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. The U.S. military Central Command's social media accounts have been hacked, seemingly by Islamic State militant supporters. Threatening messages appeared on both CENTCOM's Twitter and YouTube accounts at about midday on Monday in Washington. Nina Maria Potts reports.
The background and profile picture of the CENTCOM Twitter account were both hijacked to show a militant, and the phrase Cyber Caliphate and I Love You ISIS. CENTCOM's YouTube account was also hacked. There were threatening posts ranging from military scenarios and threats against U.S. troops. One read, "We won't stop. We know everything about you, your wives and children." CENTCOM has confirmed that its Twitter account had been compromised, saying it's taking appropriate measures. The account has since been suspended.
French investigators continue to hunt for Hayat Boumediene, a partner in the deadly attack on a kosher supermarket, which left 5 people, including perpetrator Amadi Koulibaly, dead. Newly released CCTV footage seems to show Boumediene arriving in Istanbul on the 2nd of January. It's thought she then continued on to France and is now on the run in Syria. 17 people were killed in 3 days of bloodshed, which began at the Paris headquarters of satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. The video was released shortly after the French government announced it's mobilizing over 10,000 soldiers to increase security in the country following the terrorist attacks of the last week. Here's our correspondent in Paris, Jack Perrock.
French President François Hollande is chairing a crisis meeting on national security with his cabinet after over 1.5 million people took to the streets to show solidarity with the victims of the Charlie Hebdo attacks on Sunday. Among the public, there's now debate about how these attacks were allowed to happen, while the 3 extremist Islamist perpetrators were all known in that capacity to authorities.
Meanwhile, the White House is under fire after President Obama failed to send either his Secretary of State or his Vice President to Paris in the wake of the attack. White House spokesman Josh Earnest now says it was a mistake not sending an official of high rank to Paris. Instead, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is currently in Pakistan, as Pakistani children have returned to the school in Peshawar, where Taliban gunmen killed 150 of their classmates and teachers last month. It's the first time the school has opened since the attack. Kate Fisher has more.
The December 16th terrorist attack was one of the worst Pakistan has experienced. The violence carried out by 7 Taliban militants heaped pressure on authorities to end the insurgency that kills and maims thousands every year. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry arrived in Pakistan on Monday. The goal of his unannounced trip to urge the government to do more to crack down on militant groups.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with Wave Weather. Any rain ending as some wet snow during tonight with maybe a coating, and then watch out for icy spots as it clears out by morning and the temperatures fall back into the teens by then. It's mostly sunny, breezy, very cold tomorrow, only around 20, and in the single numbers at night with clear skies, sun with a few clouds on Wednesday, we're up in the 20s. This is Gary Best. Your next Wave Weather is coming up in 30 minutes.
Phil Christie here. Are you listening to WHAV on cable television? If so, join WHAV in thanking the board, staff, and members of your local public access channel.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show, a 50-year staple of democracy in the Merrimack Valley. This hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. Well, what a treat to have Dalia Díaz from Rumbo News on the program. I really have to have her back, especially as things develop in the easing of the embargo between the United States and Cuba. Might be interesting to learn more as that unfolds. All right, if you're just joining us and haven't really been paying attention to HAV, on Friday afternoon, the Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C. issued an FM construction permit to WHAV, more properly its parent company, Public Media of New England Incorporated. That means big building job ahead of us, but for the first time in nearly 60 years, there will be an FM construction permit and station construction in Haverhill. We can spend a little bit talking about what that means, but there's a pretty detailed plan, and I'd love to discuss it with you. Let's go to the phones first. You are on the Open Mic Show.
Good evening, Tim. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Jerry?
Good. I'm sorry. I've been watching the school committee meeting.
Oh, okay.
In Methuen. Yeah.
Any big happenings there?
Yes. The curriculum committee came forward with the couple of subjects, kind of important subjects, too. One is history, with their ideas of how the curriculum should be, and it raised an awful lot of concern and interest by the school committee.
Really?
I don't understand the word because I've been out of, I had a teaching certificate, but we never talked about critical thinking. But what is that anyway, Tim?
Oh, critical thinking?
Yeah.
I'll see if Mark wants to chime in, but it's being able to evaluate and to make judgments on the fly, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's more or less what was the concern of the committee, a number of the committee, at least three of them, actually, three members of the Methuen School Committee are all teachers, two of them were teachers retired, and one is presently a teacher. So, they ought to be able to really make a critically advance the history curriculum, right?
Yeah. So, what will be the outcome of this? Is this?
Well, it got tabled because there was not only did Mr. Vogler, Mr. Deeb, Ms. Fawcett, and Ms. I should all say Ms. and Mr. All of them raised some concern about the way that they were changing the history, because of the curriculum that they came up with. They reduced the credits. They were not only they were teaching kind of a history. History one was a certain type of a format,
Okay.
But then they divided History 2 into five different time periods, and I guess you were required to take 2 out of the 5. So there was some concern that.
Oh, that's interesting. So so they could conceivably not learn all of the important parts of history.
You're quick to, honest to God, Tim. You're quick to.
No, I'm just thinking about this. I've always wondered how they squeezed as much as they did into those classes, as obviously history continues, but at least you come away, hopefully, with the basics.
You can at least remember, you at least know who FDR was.
And who stepped on the moon, and the fact that we did step on the moon.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen, though, in this particular situation, I think.
What's driving this? Is this some of that core programming?
Yes. You get a lot of younger teachers, and it's critical thinking and core studies, and what's wrong with, say, teaching history 1 and 2? For example, History 1, you medieval history or something like that. History 2 would be a certain period of time, and in other words, I don't want to be one of those people that says it's resistant to change, but.
Well, no, but I
like,
mean, I have to say, I hope I'm not one of those too who's resistant to change. But my thought is, maybe you have a thought on this. We don't have much time, but one of the things the takeaway for me when I was in high school and in grammar school for that matter was learning history also taught me about how government works. And the fact that we have more than half the people don't vote, I wonder if they know how government works. And
exactly. There was some questions to high school students and teenagers, and they didn't even know the makeup of government as it is now. You have the executive branch, the president, and then you have the other branch,
That's right. I mean, the legislative and judicial and so on.
Representatives, yeah, and they didn't know that.
All right, Jerry, do you have more? Because if you want, you can wait. We just have to do a brief community spotlight message. You want to stay on the line?
Yeah, because there was something else in the environmental field that I wanted to just mention too. But this was very interesting, and I'm glad we have these teachers on there,
All right. Why don't you hang on 1 second? We're going to go to Community Spotlight. We'll be right back. So, Jerry, you hang on. Be back in 1 minute, folks.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
This spot could have been yours. Support WHAV's local approach with your underwriting. Go to WHAV.net and click on Support to reach thousands of new customers.
Catch the wave!
Here! Don't forget your free ticket to the biggest theater in the world. Your seat is reserved for Modern Theater of the Mind every Tuesday night. WHAV presents Radio Theater Project, a new anthology series of comedies, dramas, mysteries, and science fiction. Tune in every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. or the encore performance at 1 a.m. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Community Spotlight!
Whether you're interested in postage stamp design, equality in classrooms, presidential politics, or Shakespeare, Northern Essex has an expert who, as a member of its new Speakers Bureau, is prepared to speak on the subject. Close to 24 faculty members are available free of charge to speak to nonprofit groups and organizations. Some areas of interest include business and the workplace, deaf culture, education, human services, health, science, travel, technology, and more. Speakers are available through the Northern Essex Community College Marketing Communications Department. For more information, call 978-556-3862.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
This hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. WHAV's environmental consultant, Jerry, is on the line. But just before we go back to Jerry, just a reminder, and maybe Mark will help by putting it up on the TV screen if you're watching there. Brian Langlois. Terrible 2014. His life savings were robbed. They're gone. and an account has been established at Haverhill Bank, the Brian Langlois Relief Fund. If you could help with anything that you can afford, visit any Haverhill Bank branch, and you can learn more about Haverhill Bank at haverhillbank.com. Or you can send it to the Brian Langlois Relief Fund, 180 Merrimack Street, Haverhill, Massachusetts, 01830. I just wanted to work that in. We will talk more about that. A fundraiser is also coming up. We'll give you more details as we know. Jerry, thank you for hanging on.
Gee, that sounds like a person that's really in need, and I'm going to visit one of the Haverhill banks. I certainly am. That's really sad.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. Terrible tragedy. The man is blind. His wife was blind. She also had multiple sclerosis. She passed away. His boyhood home last year, he was trying to save it. The city condemned it. It cost him the sale. And then he was able to finally sell it. And then his life savings was stolen from his home.
It reminds me of something. Why can't we adopt the Asian culture and those Near East cultures where they really have respect for the elderly?
I see what you're saying.
Kind of off track, but I happen to know some Asian people, and honest to God, here's a guy that's elderly, blind, and tough shit, and he really gets a tough situation, really, So I'm going to be happy. I will be happy to contribute.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Jerry. All
Getting
of his
back
friends.
to the school.
Yeah, tell us.
School board. Yeah.
Because we have another caller right behind you. So what else do you have?
I'll try to make it
no,
quick.
it's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, well, anyway, there was really concern, and they let him off easy. They didn't. They didn't beat on the person's two people that were two administrators that were proposing this.
Okay.
But you got to blame the two people that were up there at the podium talking about it. The first thing should have done, and it was mentioned. They should have had a syllabus of the what they were proposing.
I would think that would be make it easier.
An abstract of exactly what was happening. I can see why the board would not approve it. At first reading, so it was tabled. And
but for all we know, it's about the color of leaves in the fall for the first 2 semesters.
The other thing would be that the other big hot subject was they want to change the as being proposed in Boston. They want to change the length of the school day, the summer vacation. They primarily focused on the length of the summer vacation. In other words, start later, start earlier. Say start in August. But that's all subject to collective bargaining, and that'll be a long time in the process.
That's an excellent point that you make, because that is an issue coming up in Haverhill. Haverhill Mayor James Fiorentini wants to do something to improve the MCAS scores at one of our elementary schools, Tilton. And he's proposing a number of things, including longer school days and maybe wiping out vacation. So you make a good point. These things are easier said than done, aren't they?
Yeah, but what about span of attention? I did learn something when I was taking those educational courses at Merrimack College. What about span of attention? You lengthen the day, and the problem there is you get lack of attention, because the kids get tired. Really,
that makes a lot of sense, and I have to admit that I don't think I would have had as good a childhood as I had if I didn't have summer vacation.
Yeah. So. Hey, and they forget the whole idea of what summer vacation is. Actually, summer vacation goes back to the years when agriculture was all around Merrimack Valley.
Oh, good
point. Summer
point.
Vacations were used primarily to give some give some work to the young population. Really.
Oh, all right. So maybe
I can remember.
Yeah.
I can remember going up to Marique's farm and weeding a row of beans that must have been a mile long for 50 cents a row.
Oh, well, there you go. All right.
Yeah, but I made money, and it was during the Depression. And
that makes sense.
I brought money home.
Yeah.
The farmer used to load us all onto his truck and then drive us up to the farm. And strawberries was a bad thing, though, Tim. We'd end up throwing them at each other.
Oh, okay. My problem, I would be eating them as I went. So yeah.
So that was a hot subject, which also received an awful lot of concern and interest of the school
maybe
committee members.
I'd like to learn more about that. I'm going to look into it, and I'd also like to hear more from you next week. Unfortunately, we have about.
They tabled it till the next meeting. In the meantime, they were supposed to prepare a syllabus of what they're proposing.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
And exactly what you said. You'll lose a lot of important information.
No, that's
by teaching it the way that was common to everyone that was concerned.
No, I think democracy is at risk.
Important information,
No, I think democracy is at risk.
The only other thing I would like to say is we do have another director of for the Department of Environmental Protection. It's like musical chairs up there. First it was Kimmel, and then it was Arlene O'Brien before that. Seems like DEP changes commissioners in the last 10 years. They must have had at least four different commissioners.
No, well.
And this one is an attorney. Beware of attorney. So I don't know. Beware of.
Actually, let's talk about that in depth next week, because I think that's important.
I'd rather talk to you about the school thing.
Well, let's try to work them both in, because I think, or maybe we'd spend the next couple of weeks. Always get enough there, but I have about 4 minutes, and I have another caller with something. But no, that's great. I would like to learn more about this, and thanks for being our ear on the ground. We really appreciate it.
Hey, the meeting is still going on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. I hope our other caller is still on. About 8:26, probably close to 8:27 by now. And we're back. Okay. You're on the open mic show.
Yo.
You're on the open mic show.
Wow, you got rid of Jerry.
Yes, well, I wanted to work you in because...
That's all right. Jerry's pretty good. I like Jerry.
I like Jerry, too. He's great.
Yeah, Brian got that question right. It was Big John Sullivan.
Yeah, I mean, he said Sully. He knew he was Tom's father.
I don't have much time, but I just wanted to tell you, there was a parade before the VFW parade. It was put on by the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, okay.
But the VFW.
Oh, it's another
party.
thing. It's another thing they gave up.
So I got another trivia question. You were talking about 1963 and Cuba. John F. Kennedy passed away in 1963. A famous band wrote a song about JFK. Give me the band's name and the name of the song, and you win a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques.
Okay, a famous band wrote
a song about John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
After he passed. Give me the name of the band. It was a pretty big band. I mean, I'm talking about it was a big-time band.
Okay.
And, it ought to be, I mean, I thought Marcel was going to come up with John Sullivan, but I guess not.
All right. So name the band. What else?
Yeah, the name of the band and the name of the song.
Okay. Does Mark have the answer?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
I'm pretty close on the answer. The answer's pretty close. So I've got it on my desk. I just can't find it. But you know something? Out of need, I go to England a lot.
Okay.
They've all got different brogues. I've been to a town in Wigan, and you sit down with an old man, and you don't understand him. You don't know what he's talking about.
Well, actually, I think on the Carol Burnett show, they never understood what Mr. Wiggins was saying either. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Even in London, they see, and then it's out of need that we learn languages. I spent 13 months in Korea. There was no need for me to really speak Korean.
Oh, I understand.
You know, and that's when my eyes woke up to poverty. I mean, my eyes really woke up to poverty.
No, I understand.
You know, in foreign countries.
I have to admit, I've been watching some of those British shows on Netflix, and the comedies are pretty good, but some of the dramas I have trouble with the accents.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got Wales. They talk their own language, Welsh. I've been close to Wales. Out of need, if I lived there, I would learn to speak their language. People come here; they should learn to speak English, and which most of them do. And that woman was really interesting.
No, that's right. I mean, I agree with you. My father's first language was Italian, and then he had to learn
That's right.
in grade school. So
if you went to Italy and lived there, you'd learn Italian.
that's right. No, that's right.
It's out of need.
I have great
necessity.
regrets. I have great regrets that I did not learn Italian from my father, but my mother didn't speak it, and so it was
would
lost.
you know what I'm talking about? My great grandmother was from Scotland, near Glasgow. Oh, we're off the here anyway.
Yeah, yes, just noticed that.
Now, would you know what I was talking about if I said she lived near the Firth of Clyde? Firth, Firth.
I'm not sure that I would. No.
No. Okay, there you go. But that's just.
What do you mean? There I go.
It's
I
the
went
Clyde
first.
the river.
Okay.
And the Firth is actually in the dictionary, chiefly Scottish, a long, narrow indentation of the seacoast.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But anyway, we're off anyway, so...
All right. Well, I appreciate that you gave away the prize, and I look forward to learning more about this one.
Yeah, this will be interesting.
All right. Well,
I know a little bit about Cuba.
Yeah, actually, I think I should have asked that sooner because I want to have her back to learn more about. I think she'd be good to someone good to talk to as we see this policy develop.
I can't really hear you too good. I don't know why.
Oh, well, I'll try this, and then I'm going to upset Mark's
all right.
levels.
We're off the year anyway, but.
Well, no, we're still on. We're still on our other sources. So.
Oh, we are.
Yeah. No,
so I mean, what do you know? I mean, Cuba. I mean, that was a good question. So JFK was involved with Cuba.
Yeah, I'd like to have her back and learn more about that side of her.
Yeah, and I mean, you heard, Che Guevara, right?
What's that?
Che Guevara. Che.
Jay?
Che. His name was Che.
Che. Is this the farmer?
He led the revolution.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Che.
Okay.
But I mean, Castro got all the credit.
All right. Mark had his likeness on the screen for a minute. So maybe he's telling us to get off the air or he's leaving. I'm not sure.
All right. I'll talk to you next week. I'll call early next week.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
No, I figured we weren't on HC Media anymore, so I could, actually do that whole TV thing.
Oh, okay.
I was playing.
Oh, I see. I didn't know if he was like, okay, Tim, this is my warning. I
just
start making faces,
there's all these little
gestures, and then what happens before?
There's all these little buttons that I don't get to play with, and so I was just killing time.
Well, Mark, thank you very much for holding down the fort, bringing in pizza, being just a good company.
Well, the pro and the boss will be back next week, so.
All right, we'll see what
Nate
happens.
will be back next week, so, just.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Biding my time.
Mark did offer, I may as well say this on the air so it goes on the record. Mark did offer that in worst case scenario, someone has to hold up the new tower. He's taking the first shift.
As long as I'm grounded and you give me some mucklucks to get through the woods and all that good stuff. Yeah, we'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
So long as it's not 5 degrees either.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can avoid that one. All right, thank you very much, listeners. We'll be back next week with more of the Open Mic Show.
Join Tim Coco live on the Open Mic again next Monday night at 6:30. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of WHAV, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.
It's 8:34.
Would you like to hear